What's up, everyone? And this is Next Level Thinking. What's up, everyone? It's another episode of Next Level Thinking, where we're always here to inspire and make a big impact into the community. It's your host, Chris Holmes, always bringing you big special guests. And today, my special guest is by the name of
Dr. T Follins.
Awesome. Now, tell the audience a little bit about yourself before we go deeper in depth with the interview.
Well, let me just say, first of all, thank you very much to Chris, and hello to the audience. I am a lifelong educator and a person who believes in the power of education. I am a complete consultant for a company called 1957 Strategic Solutions. We do strategy, execution, and results focused on improving organizational outcomes. I have a long history working in higher education, everything from faculty to college president, and always looking to engage learners in helping to achieve outstanding outcomes.
Awesome. That's great to hear, because we know education is a big, major impact into the communities, our youth, and much more. So let me ask this, what gave you that jump to pursue an education? Bringing, I guess, let's say that's the roots of everything. So, what started that movement to let you understand that this is the path that you want to take?
Well, I tell you, nothing is more important than time. And time is often suggested to be more important than money. Time is a critical thing, because you can never get back the time you don't invest. And so what I've been able to do is recognize, Chris, the incredible power, transformative power of education. And I was inspired at a very, very young age by my mother, who passed this past January, who was a lifelong educator. She taught middle school in New York City for about 35 years. And she always inspired her three children to achieve through education. And so she inspired me. She first have a love of learning, because learning is the ability to be able to take in new things and become the best you can be. So throughout my childhood, she always emphasized being able to read everything you get your hands on, even if it's the comic books. So she fostered reading in us. She always sent us in the summertime for some activity, whether it's camp or the boys club. She kept us very busy. And so growing up, we had a good foundation and an excellent role model, Chris, of a person who really cared deeply about education. Nelson Mandela often talked about the transformative power of how education can change the world. And so I've always recognized the very significant importance of education and the power it does to transform our lives. Anything, Chris, that you can imagine, education can impact, whether it's health care in terms of being able to have doctors and nurses and people having a better understanding of their own health care through knowledge and so forth. Technology is all about learning every day, being able to transform yourself. Social media is all about education, and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter. All these things are all about learning and growing and adding value. Crime and punishment, all of these things can be ameliorated through education. Employment, people can gain better jobs through education and access a better life for their children. Housing, you can live better if you have a high-quality education. Food and nutrition, if you know better, you'll eat better. You'll understand connecting your health to longevity. So everything you can imagine, Chris, education has a key component to change. It also impacted me very early to have a thirst of learning and get up every single day and try to learn something different and new every day.
Awesome, and that is very crucial, because education is the foundation of everything. Because if you don't know certain information, how could you advance or innovate much more? I think it's one of those things. And then you hit on another crucial point, which is reading, either it's from magazines, books, and much more. If you really think about it, every thing that we have learned to this point is either by experience, but most importantly by reading different textbooks and much more. That's how you obtain it, or you have an educator like yourself teaching these things through a textbook or their own experiences, and that's how we grow as societies, from learning from other individuals who have documented all this great information and much more to teach the future generation so they can advance and think of new ideas and much more. Because we, as you just sum it up, like education is very crucial and core to everything.
No question about it, Chris. Education again is a very transformative tool, and there's two really distinct types of education. One is the formalized education that you get through school and classrooms and learning in a structured environment. Because the other most important, I think, more important, is what you learn at the kitchen table.
Oh yes, with
Because
family.
that shapes Chris your values. So whether it was grandmama or papa or your mother or father or an auntie or uncle or your big brother or sister or just a neighbor who took you in as a single parent, we've got lots of things that happen right at that kitchen table. So learning about values and how to treat others and being respectful and saying please and thank you and conducting yourself with decorum and being able to conform to expected values and social norms and how to deal tactfully in a social environment. These are all things that happen at the kitchen table. Even how you eat, learning how to use utensils, the knife and fork and spoon properly, and having to chew your food and chew with your mouth closed, and when someone belches, you say excuse me. All these things that we take for granted that become extremely valued in the workplace and in life happen. We choose our spouses online now, and our partners, and we look for those social things. When we go out with them, how they behave, whether they use a napkin when they're eating out, how polite they are. They pull the table, the chair out for the female, and so forth. They hold the cab door open, the Uber door open for you as you are getting in the cab if you're a female, and so forth and so on. So a lot of these things happen because grandma or auntie or mom or dad taught you how to do those things. How do you treat the different people in your life, and how do you, maintain friendships, and how do you provide compliments to people? I think one of the things that I learned is that if you compliment the people, you'll make a friend every day. Everyone wants to feel valued, and those are the informal things, Chris, that you learn at the kitchen table. And you find that when you don't do those things well, there are negative consequences. So when you act out in public, whether you're in kindergarten or third grade, there are suspensions. And so all those things that should have happened at the kitchen table, if they don't happen correctly, then there are repercussions, whether it's in the workplace as an adult or in school as a student. So I think one has a really impactful, I think, on the other. So I think what happens outside the classroom, even as we are adults, we're learning informally through mentors and so forth. I do mentoring now, Chris, and I have a particular interest in males of color because I think that's one of those areas that I have experience in navigating the very, very complicated life lessons. And so I do a number of mentoring informally, kitchen table conversations with males of color, but really all individuals who I may come in contact with who desire that. So both informal and formal education is important.
Awesome, and then you hit. Ooh, I mean, there was a lot of notes to take from that, and especially from like the kitchen talk that you stated earlier. It's so crucial now that you talk about a lot of the things, especially with your family, to build a foundation, core values, and then just learn from like your family members' experiences much more, so that you don't have to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Because what I mean, that's crucial. And then you hit on another big thing is like you can control to a certain extent the atmosphere and the environment in the classroom, but we all got to keep in mind that once the student leaves that classroom, they got to face the real life environment, and you're going to have some things that's going to challenge you. You're going to have some obstacles and much more that's going to question your values and things like that. And that's another reason why mentors are so important these days, because especially with the internet and like another thing that you hit on social media, information is just going at a rapid, fast pace. And then there's so many different channels where you can get your information, which may be good or bad. You got to be careful of where you obtain that information from, because that's like very crucial.
No doubt, Chris. I think those are again just kind of hitting on those same points. Very, very important. I always encourage people, no matter how old you are, to find a mentor. Mentors, plural, people who are in your life who are those people who you can turn to as friends and colleagues and people who can give you advice. And if you take your own advice, it's like the lawyer who has themselves as a client. You have a fool, because you can't oftentimes see the things that you do wrong, and having someone kind of be that third eye or that third ear is extremely important as you move through life. I don't care how old you are, there's always someone who can connect with you and add some additional value to how you're thinking and how you're learning. Knowledge happens, Chris, so fast. They say that what you learn in college is, by the time you leave college, 18 months, it's obsolete. So learning the life cycle, the shelf life of all knowledge is typically 18 months to 2 or 3 years before new knowledge comes and replaces it. So if you're not learning all the time, then you're being left behind. So those individuals who can learn and have a thirst for learning and acquiring new knowledge and mentorship throughout life, informally and formally, will be the ones who really lead and become those thought leaders in the future.
Awesome, awesome. So, real quick, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to continue this interview so we can continue on this expansion and much more, because you hit on a lot of key points that I definitely want to hit on more in depth. So, I want to give the viewers just a little slight break, and we're going to continue after this. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to continue on from the last little points that we had, especially on continuing with knowledge and much more. But I want to go hit a little bit more in depth on this one, is how you stated like it's good to have the kitchen talk and much more. I feel like there's times where you have families that are afraid to like hit on certain topics because they're so sensitive. So, like, what do you suggest for families that may have a little, I guess, is it trust issues or something like that when it comes to topics that need to be talked about within the families?
Well, I think, first of all, it's a great question, Chris, and I applaud you for the work you do with the blogs, just really sharing information. I think one of the things that, to answer that question, is to have them listen to blogs like this and to be open to new knowledge. In some families, obviously, a challenge, but you need to begin a new tradition of sharing, and if you need insight, there are so many sources through social media, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. YouTube, I think, is phenomenal, because not only can you hear it, you can see it. And so you can simply put in whatever question you may have, and YouTube has someone who has been there, done that, can give you value. They say there's like 12,000 videos being uploaded to YouTube on a daily basis. Can you imagine that? 12,000.
I actually believe it was like how big this thing is.
Yep, everybody has a opinion, an idea, thought they want to be sharing. So I think you have all these sharing platforms today, and I think we can use social media, for the Snapchats and the dogs on skateboards and things of that nature. But when it comes down to the values, there's a real chance to use that technology through the use of those YouTube videos, name it, Twitter, read it, Reddit, all those things are out there. Reddit, I should say, that are out there for us. Pinterest, there's so many. So I think that today, just as we use those same media, those smartphones are called smartphones for a reason. I think most people don't use all the features. The smartphone has so many features. I think one first thing I would do is, before anybody leaves the store, whether they go to Best Buy or with Sprint or wherever, is sit down and make sure that they really read that manual and understand all the features of that phone that they're investing in. And some people paying $1,000 for these phones that have massive amounts of computing ability.
Yeah, you
And I
have,
think it's really, yeah.
and you have so much like technology in these things. This is more than a spaceship. I mean, it's crazy. You can continue. My bad.
Yes, yes, sir. So I think just really, Chris, having people really take time to understand all the features, and so to the point of the question is there's more computing than there's ever been on that phone in the history of mankind and womankind, and anything that is a issue with can be resolved through the utilization of technology. So there aren't ways that families are engaging now. There are tools that can help with that concept.
Awesome, and like that's very important. I mean, this actually hit the points I was about to go into, and a newer one is like you were saying earlier, it's always good to keep learning, and that ties into technology because technology is always going to be changing. I mean, we start off with these big blocky flash disks to now like having so much, even like 20 or 40 times as much memory on something that's so much smaller and for convenience. So we always got to be adapting to all these new things. We have like, was it like Alexa, where you have voice commands and things like that. I mean, who could imagine that you can actually FaceTime? Oh, speaking of that, my just went activated. But it's funny how like technology it makes things so much more easier if you just take the time out to learn. And then even with these smartphones, I mean, I mean, they have a preset technology in it. I mean, you have developers always putting new things into these things. Like you have an app for everything at this point. It's like for Microsoft Word, I mean, recording videos, or you have editing software, you have scheduling and much more. I mean, you just got to take advantage of what you're getting. And you do have a very solid point. Like people are paying $1,000 like eight, five, whatever for these phones and not utilizing all these features. I'm telling you right now, if I pay $1,000 for a phone, you best believe I'm about to use every little feature that phone has and more.
Well, yes, sir. I agree with 100%. That's a really good analysis.
Yes, yes, yes. So, going more into depth of like your service and much more, like what has been the biggest impact from you doing that on the educating side? Because I know you were hitting from middle school, college, and much more, but like also with your services, like tell the audience more about that.
Well, I stepped away from full-time administration to explore what I learned over the course of 25 plus years in education. So from a strategy standpoint, what I do is I work with individuals and organizations on strategic planning and being able to meet organizational goals. So I provide services such as being able to put together a strategy plan, an action plan to be able to look at mission statements and achieve goals, and be able to execute on strategy. We have too many strategy documents that sit on the shelf of like dust and not being executed to help people think through that. So it's a thought process. I also provide communication strategy training, teach speech and presentation skills. I make presentations around the country to do that. I also do leadership and supervision training as part of my portfolio. So really, a lot of those things are baked into an overall executive service suite of products and services that provide an individual with the tools they need to be successful, whether they are in the C-suite or the ice cream suite. They have the ability to be successful through thoughtful planning, thoughtful analysis, thoughtful strategy, and really good execution. So I've been doing that and finding that to be very, very interesting and fulfilling. I also do, as part of that process, work with individuals who want access to the community college space. There are about 11 million students, almost half of all undergraduates in America, about 46 million that are involved in community colleges and students. And of course, there are faculty and there's staff that support that. So my experiences people want access to being able to help achieve student success. And I provide technical advice and support, whether it be in retention, workforce development, economic development, whether it be able to take a product or service that can help students and provide a liaison effort to liaise to one of the 12 running community colleges. I provide the conduit between that vendor and the community college, helping them gain access to the decision makers and stakeholders in that space. So having been in a community college most of my career, obviously an expert, I've been faculty, everything from faculty to the college president. So I use those skills with my business and provide strategic analysis, planning, and execution. So it's not just in higher education, but really you can apply that to anything. If you've got a idea that you want to have developed, I can help you think through that. I had some young men call me from Austin a couple of years back, maybe a year ago. They had an idea about taking a product into the classroom, and they said, help us think through this. They found me on LinkedIn, and I helped them. And they had some good success. But really thinking through whether or not that product or service is going to help student learning is interesting. So there are lots of ways to come at what I do, but I found that it's been very effective to be able to have just a simple philosophy of being able to understand and execute strategy and achieve excellent outcomes.
Yeah, very, very, very true as well, especially on that. And then one thing I really want to key on is like you keep mentioning execution. And of course, like it's great that you help establish these people with planning and much more. But I think it all comes down to executing these great ideas, because we can think of the greatest things that make an impact or revolutionize or like can be innovative, help some families and much more countries, etc. But if a person does not execute, it's at an all loss. So I want you to like hit a little bit more in depth on like execution, because I feel that's one thing that people like don't want to admit that they need to do, even if it's doing the things that don't feel like doing. Because I believe a lot of times emotions or whatever may slow them down to actually getting the results, because they don't want to execute on the little things to get where they want to be at.
Well, thank you. That's a great question, and certainly a good topic to expound on. So I think, just in my experiences, the first thing I would say regarding anything that's being executed, you have the right people in the right seats doing the right thing. And then if you do have the right folks, so they have the necessary skills and training to be able to execute. Look at strategy. Strategy is all about long-term planning. Tactics are about those things you need, the short-term things you do, the actions as part of that strategy. So when you look at planning process, the most important thing is not sitting down planning it and the task, but the execution. Are there people who are in place who have the skill sets to be able to execute? One of the things that's happening across America in urban areas and suburban areas, I find, I've lived in probably 5 major cities around the country: New York, Atlanta, Houston, Cleveland, and Chicago, and then some other places. Just been very blessed to have some really good jobs and fortunate to be able to live in those cities. And what I found is, in San Antonio, if I didn't mention that, is that a lot of these cities are undergoing what's called gentrification. They're changing. And some of the people who've lived there for a long time are saying, well, when are these people getting the money to come in and to be able to do all these things? They're young, they're this, they're that, they're 30 years old, they got all this money, and they're spending millions of dollars on condos and condominiums and, sidewalk cafes. And it's really, what they're doing is transforming the urban landscape of America. Mm-hmm. And one of the things you find, if you talk to them, and I've done that, is that the thing that's different is that a lot of people who live there thought that life would always be the same, and we won't have to do anything, we just keep living here. But people evolved, and so did the environment, and so did society. And society left the suburbs and became looking at cities as places to live and grow and raise children. So all those urban places now are attractive, particularly if you're near water. That adds to that. So a place like Manhattan, for instance, or even Brooklyn in New York, places like that, even places like here in Texas, Houston, Dallas, Austin, probably the biggest example. transformative organizations. But the point is that the difference between people who live there and those that perhaps coming in is that the people coming in come in with an execution plan. They're going to come in with a plan to come in to execute, being able to take a building, not only they don't want to fix, they want to tear it down and put something else up. Or they want to take an old structure, refurbish it, put in sustainable products, and transform it and make lots and lots of money, or make live there. But they're transforming things through the ability to execute. They're executing, acquiring startup funding, seed funding, equity dollars, venture capital. But they are executing. When they sit down and say they're going to transform the community, they come in and actually do it. That's probably the best example that I see across the country of where the execution strategy is happening. People aren't simply talking about changing a neighborhood; they're actually doing it. Mm-hmm. And you can go to whether you go to Birmingham, Alabama, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, you go to California, any place you go in America. I was in Washington State recently. I've been to, you name it, all Illinois, all across America. You're going to find that places that are urbanized are being transformed left and right. And there's a lot of young people coming in, and that's a good example about having the right people in the right place with the right plans and clearly executing. And when you go into those communities and see what they've done, whether you agree with them or not, that's a perfect example of true execution. That's one of the examples I use.
Yes, awesome, Master. I'm glad you hit on all of that. And then another thing that you hit on was this other thing as well, is people evolve. I feel like we forget, of course, technology is constantly changing, but of course, as society and the people, like, we learning new things, and we're not going to be doing the same trends or whatever, or they may come back as a retro or whatsoever, but people are adapting to these technology, the new trends, and things much more. And when you come in with the mindset of, okay, things going to always be the same, you're going to take a hit, because you're going to be left behind, because in your mind you want this, but the rest of the world is heading into a forward direction, and you're going to be left behind trying to figure out like what's going wrong. And the main thing is you didn't want to adapt or change or to the new ways, and I feel like that happens a lot. So I want to hit on this, like, name the top 3 people that inspire your life.
Well, I tell you, they're not really famous people. I don't get enamored with famous names because I don't know those people. But the people I do know are the ones who have been very close to me and been mentors in my life. So my mom would be the top, no question.
Awesome.
Because she shaped who I am. I'm an educator because she was a teacher. I'm compassionate because she was compassionate. I understand the world through her eyes, and her loss this year was devastating to me. I have another friend, or person, that's my best friend Wesley. He and I have been friends for 50 years. And to maintain a 50-year friendship with anybody or anything is amazing.
Yes, it is.
There are people I know that aren't friends for 50 minutes, but to maintain through the good, bad, and the ugly, and still love each other, I mean, genuine love, platonic love, where these are ride or die kind of relationships, where unquestionably we don't judge each other, but we know each other. We go on vacation together. He knows my children, and I know his wife. So we know everything about each other, and we're non-judgmental. And I value his advice and his wisdom. And, I'm just blessed to have him in my life. We only really truly get maybe a handful of true friends. I mean, I don't count the 20 million to 20,000 people on LinkedIn. Those aren't my friends. Those are people who have a relationship with LinkedIn. Those aren't true friends, although they're good people. But true friends are those that are unquestionably, and one of the examples, I had a mentor tell me years ago, that if you were in Minnesota and you were stuck at 3 o'clock in the morning and you had 4 or 5 people you can call, you had a car full of children that need in 3 days, and you were hungry and needed $100 a day to support you until you got on your feet, and you made some phone calls, he said, the people that came out in their car to get you, those are your true friends. That's a really good example. And then the other person, the persons, I would say, you said 3, George and Pam Shaw. I'm an African-American male, and grew up at a time when during the civil rights movement, the tail end of that, and I was fortunate. My mom always wanted us in New York to go to do something in the summer. She said, "You're not going to sit around and do nothing all summer because idle hands is the devil's workshop." So she set us upstate to a program called the Fresh Air Fund, and what that did is allow urban children to have a experience in a rural community, suburban community, with people who had lots and lots of access to money. And we had a chance to go, me and another campus, upstate Brewster, New York, which is a suburb, very nice suburb, upstate. And George and Pam Shore, they were Anglos, a couple. They were older. They since passed, but George actually sculpted it. I asked him 1,000 questions about civil rights. He did the best he can to answer me. But it was during the time that we really undergoing a lot of turmoil in the country. And he said, "I've had campers up here for 40 years, and you're the only one I've ever had these conversations with." But he actually sculpted my head because he said, "You made such an impression on me." I was like 11 years old, I think it was. And he really helped me think through some early challenges as a child because he answered all my questions the best he could and really followed me throughout my adulthood until him and Pam died. But they were so selfless in how they viewed the world, and because they were of a different background, different race, they were the first genuinely nice people who followed me and supported me, mentored me throughout my entire life, till they passed. And they always saw the best, and they don't care how bad stuff was. They always said, "You're going to be whatever." They said, "If you get into college, when you get into college, you're going to finish, and when you finish, you're going to be doing wonderful things. One day you'll be a president of college." And little they know that happened, but they always
It's spoke to existence.
but they always saw Chris the best in me, and so while I can always name famous people, I don't know those people, so they're not, those are people, that are famous and God bless them, but they're not people who made an impact because I don't know those two. These three people, my mom, Wesley, and George and Pam, because the thing about those individuals, I always lived to make those people feel good about my decision. And their acceptance of what I did meant more to me than anything. So if they told me I was doing things wrong, that feeling stayed with me and made me change how I did things. So that's what I mean about made the biggest difference. And so while I really value them, I really value them more when they challenge me to do better and be the very best I could be and be the best human being I could be. And so again, a lot of times I ask kids or students, "Tell me who your top three," and they say Michael Jordan or LeBron. I said, "You know LeBron James? Have you ever met him? Has he given you a nickel?" Well, not really. I just like him on TV. Well, what has he done for you? Well, he played basketball. I said, think through those people on the block, like the guy in the corner who, when you didn't have any money, sat down and gave you some wisdom. Think about people like that who every day in your life are meaningful. The guy who walks his dog with you, or the person who, Auntie Smith, or your mom or dad. Charles Barkley had a line years ago, said, "I'm not a role model." He's right. We oftentimes put our faith and confidence in people who are not in our lives, but they're on TV or they're, So I think those are things that I just learned over the course of time. That the people in front of me are the ones who have the biggest impact on what I do and don't do.
Yes, and that is great, and I'm glad you hit on that because a lot of times we forget, like, the people that actually are around us and closest to us can make the most impact in our lives and motivate us to execute and much more. So, awesome answer, awesome interview overall. But like before we close everything out, like any last closing comments, and like where can they find you? No, yeah, go ahead. Like any closing comments and where can they find you at?
Oh yeah, my email is C as in Craig Follins, Follins as in Sam @gmail.com. You can do my Twitter at Dr. Follins1. Twitter, Facebook is Craig Follins, Facebook. My LinkedIn is Craig Follins. You can go to LinkedIn and put Craig Follins, you can be there. Again, my website, you can go to that. That's going to be Dr. Craig T. Follins, com. You can go there, and if you again want to email me, reach out to me. Certainly can do that at T Follins at gmail.com. Drop me a note, even if you just want to holler at me and just talk about whatever it may be. I've had been blessed to have some wonderful people in my life who give me some wisdom. If I can share that with anybody and bless the things they do and the life that they're leading. We're a bunch of imperfect people working with other imperfect people trying to do perfect things. And so if we can form a community and develop a network of people who are trying to achieve the best they can do, then that's something I would part. So again, C Follins at gmail.com, C Follins at gmail.com. I want to thank Chris for the things he's doing, adding knowledge every day to the good work that has to be done.
Awesome, awesome, and we greatly appreciate you for taking out your time to be a part of this great movement to inspire the world to be the best version of themselves. And we all know we're not imperfect, but that is not going to stop us from being great, because our mistakes is what we learn from, and that's how we, educate each other. So with that said, I'm going to close out this episode. It's been great, awesome. It's your host, Chris Holmes, on Next Level Thinking, and of course, my special guest by the name of
Dr. Craig T. Follins. Thank you, Chris.
And we're out. Peace and much love.